Activation code required. Access granted. Warning. Evacuation sequence activated.
We're back. Welcome to the bunker.
And good evening, welcome to the S-4 Bunker, coming to you live here in the Cascade Mountains, where it is snowing in the mountains now. That is fucking awesome.
That wasn't snow.
Hey, well, okay.
It was frost.
Okay. Well,
it all disappeared by the time 3 o'clock hit.
There's one or two flakes. There was one or two.
No, it was all gone. Seriously. When I left to pick you up, it was there. When I came back, it was all gone. I was surprised.
Well, there's snow on.
Because that was 3,000 feet.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to be our snow level. But there was nothing there at the end of the day.
Where?
Actually, right above you.
Oh, yeah.
The top of Haystack had nothing on it by 3 o'clock.
When did I drive through?
No, 4, because I went to pick them up.
Okay, so it just went away. Yeah, and that means we're probably going to flood. Potentially. We're at 14 feet, so
I looked at all the river or the creeks on the way. We're not even close yet.
No,
Fred.
I don't think we will be.
Day Creek hasn't taken a single house.
Right.
It's working on it though.
Oh god.
Well, here it's 70 degrees.
No more floods.
Oh sure, rub it in.
It was a really strange day. It's been cloud covered, so it looks all scary and freaky out. It's like officially fall. When then you go outside, it's like 70 to 77, like the past 2 days. It's really funky.
Huh.
And then tomorrow's our trick or treat, so we will see. It's supposed to be a full moon on Saturday, guys. Look out.
We had that on like a couple weeks ago where it had dipped way down, and then all of a sudden it was like 80 degrees out of the blue for like 2 days.
Yep.
And then it went back down to like 40.
It's supposed to go back to the 50s next week.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like an up and down.
Yeah.
Mom and
I
Dad
haven't
yesterday got 5 inches
But okay.
of
Where?
snow. Mom and Dad.
Yeah,
in
that's kind of a barometer
we're in.
for how our winter is going to be here. Kind of. Because you guys get a shit ton of more snow than we do.
Do you know how many pissed off kids there are in Drumheller, Alberta right now?
Why?
Because it did it right before fucking Halloween. Like,
yeah. They're gonna have to wear snowshoes and skis.
yeah, everyone's gonna have to cover up their costumes
or get the sled dogs out. I mean, yeah.
Want your candy, you have to work for it.
With candy, they're gonna give out snow cones. What are you talking about?
Well, so actually, with that coming up, me and Dad were talking the other day, and it caused me to actually go on a little bit of a mission with our kids. So all 4 of our kids at 17, 16, 15, and 11 will be trick-or-treating Tuesday night.
Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent. As what?
And then I will as well. Because we just, like, Dad was actually pretty upset when he realized before COVID, they would get up to 150 kids. And they're now down to 32 a year.
Damn.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. I'm not sure what Jalen is going as this year.
Oh, no.
Hunter's going as Freddie Mercury. John is going as a wizard.
There you go.
Or a Karen
He's a
if he
corpse
doesn't
bride.
wear the beard. If he doesn't wear the beard, he's a Karen. Yeah, like the hair with. I got pictures.
Wait, are you saying Karens are wizards?
Friend, if you take away the beard, yeah.
They're wizardly stupid.
Okay.
Gandalf is a Karen. He wants to
No,
talk.
that'd be a Kurt.
He wants to talk to the orc's manager,
No, males are Kurt.
Sauron.
Kurt.
And if you think about it, Snape was a.
Oh, Snape was a fucking snivelly little bitch.
He was a
He's a
Karen.
Karen.
Yeah.
Isn't it Kevin for a dude?
Huh?
Is what they're called?
Darren.
Darren?
No.
Darren, what?
Well, there's Darren. There's Kevin.
Darren
What are the
and
other
Karen.
ones?
Craig.
Yeah. Friend. Someone tried to say Chad, but that's not true. That's the Taco Bell guy.
There's a Steve. But Steve is cool.
What do they call them in Texas? Rick?
Yeah, but what's
Oh, really? Did you just say, what are they called in Texas? They're called Rick?
No, I said, what do they call them in Texas?
You ricked that up.
No, we had. What did we? There was somebody. We had a name for that kind of person. Usually, in Texas, they wear. They
No, in
weigh
Texas
about
they just
like
get
20
shot.
pounds soaking wet, and they have the mullet going and the wife. That's the wife beater is an appropriate term, but the undershirt with and they have the chain that goes from the belt loop to the wallet. That's the big thing.
So they're
as
Joe
far as
Dirts.
goes, Jethro? No, we don't have any Jethros. I didn't know any Jethros.
Joe.
we have a name for those here?
Oh, Davis. Yeah, we
Those
have
are-
a lot of Davises. Yes.
Those are called meth heads here.
Weird.
Okay.
Weird.
That's
Sorry.
called NASCAR fan.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. NASCAR's pretty unpopular these days, and there's still plenty of those back home. There's a bunch
Of
of them
course
out,
there is.
and they're kids.
Yeah.
It's like they pass it on from generation to generation, and it's just the most frightening thing.
Hey, I love
Except
NASCAR.
now they have the pants. The modern kids have the pants that are down around their ankles, even in Texas. So, but the belt loop is still there with the chain.
No,
attached
we
to the
just
wall.
call those Urkels.
Yep.
Urkel?
Urkel's pants were high.
Huh?
Yeah,
His
high
pants were up
pants.
around his waist. Like up.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
They're still
Like
there around his
Urkel.
ankles. Even around his waist.
Well, that was
So we-
weird.
Who are they? What are they? Where did they
Yes.
come from?
They're still fucking Urkels.
So I'm actually writing a book about, it's called Witch, and it takes place in Germany at first, but then she goes to Paris, and
What
finally
time period?
America. Sorry?
What time period are you setting it in?
It's been like a while since I did the research, but I think it was like 1600s, I think.
Oh, right in the Inquisition.
It was very interesting because the Pope was the one who started accusing people as witches.
Oh,
At
it
first
goes
they
no,
started
it goes
saying-
way, it goes beyond the Pope. It actually starts with King James the First. Actually, he was King James the Sixth in Scotland, and he transferred over to England and became King James the First for England. And he was. We're actually jumping the gun because I actually have a lot of stories on all that. But you need to understand, in Germany during that time period, there was a 2-year window where he had Matthew Hopkins, who was known as the Witch Fighter General, and he did his own thing. He did it for money, although he claimed he did it for God. But he was charging 20 pence for each town that he went and found quote-unquote witches, which, again, most of them weren't witches. They were just maybe the poor old woman that nobody liked, or the disabled 70, 80-year-old that nobody liked. They weren't...
Do you have when the first term was first used?
What's that?
Yeah.
The term was first used in 890.
For what? For
Witch.
Witch
Term
finder?
witch.
Oh, okay.
Friend, is in the laws of Alfred.
It goes beyond that. That goes to ABC.
Friend, the famine, the Gwyneth on Fawn Gerald Crafton Finnegan and Silason and Wiccan.
Oh, Paul is jumping the gun.
I think I just called a demon. I'm not sure.
What? Well, understand, I've been researching this and studying this history
according to
for a month.
According to them, that's the first time in literature the word witch was ever written. Wicca was ever written down. Wiccan.
So it's interesting. It's interesting what I found because the term Wicca was way before Gerald Gardner. So Gerald Gardner is the one they give credit to for starting the Wiccan belief, and that was in England originally. It didn't come to the States until 1952. I want to say
because Wicca is masculine, Wiki is feminine.
What's Wiki?
You sure you don't have that reversed?
Yep.
Okay.
Wiccan is verb.
I'm going to kick it off with a quote from Groucho Marx.
Did you say Wiki?
What? Yeah, Wiki.
Wiki?
Not Wiki. Not
WICCE.
Yeah. So it's Wicca and Wicca.
Or maybe it's Wicca.
That could be.
It's
You
like
have to look at it
but with an I.
But Groucho Marx said, if a black cat crosses your path, it signifies that the animal is going somewhere. I like that.
Those are like those weird proverbs.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was cool as hell.
That's dumb. If anything crosses your path, it's probably going somewhere. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, in other words.
If a black child crosses your path, it's going somewhere. Don't fucking kid it.
Except vegetables.
So before we kick it off, part one from Paula, how do you define witchcraft and what are its main sources and influences? And we're going to answer that. Part two, what are some of the benefits and challenges of being a witch in modern society? And again, we're going to answer that too. There are no, well, it depends. What are the benefits to being a witch?
You get spooky powers.
Your own spirituality and your own. To define witchcraft is kind of complicated in itself because it's an individual thing. Whether you're a forest witch or a green witch or a white witch or a black witch, there is no, a witch is a witch is a witch. It doesn't matter if you're white or black when it comes to witchcraft. There is no black witchcraft. It's your intention of what you're doing. Witchcraft itself is the use of magic, the use of spells, the use of rituals. Does it mean you have to have a deity? That really came more into being with Wiccan. Now, the difference to that, so I'm going to go over the witchcraft laws and trials and have a timeline here. It actually starts in 700 BC with Exodus 22:18, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. Leviticus 20:27, a man also or a woman that hath a familiar spirit, or that is a wizard, shall surely be put to death. They shall stone them with stones, their blood shall be upon them. Deuteronomy 18:10, there shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, which we do, by the way, or that useth divination, which we also do, or an observer of times, or an enchanter or a witch, which, I am one. 11, or a charmer or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard or a necromancer. I'm not a necromancer, but
I don't see you as much of a charmer either. I'm just saying.
I'm not charming at all.
Necromancer. Isn't that
I
somebody
don't
that
play
brings
with the
somebody
dead.
back
Sorry.
from the dead?
Not,
Anymore.
What?
What?
It's kind of cool because actually Anthony and I are binge watching The Walking Dead. And
What, Nikki?
I've never seen The Walking Dead before. I like it.
Walking Dead.
It's cool.
Lifetime. I had three lifetimes as a necromancer. By the third lifetime, I was like, I'm done.
No, I don't blame you. In 1487, the Malleus Maleficarum, which is, oh my God, the first misogynistic piece of shit ever came out. Because if you've ever read the Malleus, I haven't actually read it. I've got like 3 different versions of it on my hard drive. Amongst other documents within the Malleus realm that are basically interpretations of it. That's my cat, by the way. And so Malleus Maleficarum is Latin for hammer of the witches, or der Hexenhammer in German. Ooh, today, wait, what the fuck? No, wait. I have to go back up. What the hell you doing there, John?
I've been here many times.
Spamming the chat room with pictures.
You guys should check the chat room and look at the last one I did. I just found that's fucking hilarious.
Anyway, the Malleus was written by Heinrich Kramer and Jacob Sprenger, who were inquisitors of the Catholic Church. So, I'm confused, or maybe you can help clarify this with Catholic history. But originally, I don't believe the Catholic Church endorsed the Malleus Maleficarum. That didn't come in until later. Because they didn't endorse Heinrich Kramer. Now, once they did endorse this book, the Protestants and Christians came on board, and it's actually still being used today in Africa, in India. It's a really misogynistic, shitty book. And it has nothing to do with witches at all. It has to do with taking power away from women. It has to do with showing women's faults and accusing them of witchcraft for no other reason than being a woman.
I've read that. It's called Harry Potter.
During the European Inquisition, and honestly getting to the Spanish Inquisition, it started out more of going after Jews and Muslims.
Yep.
Than it had to do with witches.
Absolutely.
I don't
have anything to do with witches.
No, the Spanish Inquisition was the Catholic Church going after
the Jews.
Huh?
They were converting the Jews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're not even going to talk about the Spanish Inquisition a whole lot because it had nothing to do with witches.
I will just say, it was actually fairly successful.
It was. Many thousands of people died for being Jews and being Muslim. And it was.
Yeah, but no, we don't. We concentrate on the ones we converted, not the ones we killed.
Yeah, history would say otherwise.
Brett, that's why we are not compared to Hitler.
Right. Okay.
The only thing I know of the Malleus Maleficarum is when they talked about it in Macbeth.
Yeah, we're going to get to Macbeth too, because Macbeth is an interesting discussion. So it was first published in Germany. Witch trials began throughout Europe following the publication of the book and lasted until the early 1700s. An estimated 40 to 100,000 people died. Popular misconception is that we were all burned. The only burning that took place was in the European Inquisition. They actually, in the Salem witch trials, they were hanged. And in one case, 9 quote-unquote, and I'm not going to say the quote-unquote anymore, I'm just going to say witches. So 9 witches were hung in Salem, but one man was actually crushed to death. And I like this guy, because this guy was actually, so what they did was they laid you down and they started piling rocks on top of you. And after, I think it was 2 to 3 days of him being crushed, they asked him if he was going to confess. And he said, no, there's not enough weight. And they kind of looked puzzled because this guy is actually being crushed to death. So they piled on more rocks until he died. So if you confess to being a witch and gave up 8 more names, you didn't get killed. You just kind of sat in jail. They spared your life. But if you did not confess, then you were hanged.
So if you killed 8 more people, then
basically, yeah. If you give up your
jail.
8 neighbors you didn't like, or whatever, then they're gonna go after them.
Just name all the mayor's children.
No, it was the mayor's children that were actually the ones that were, and that pissed me off so bad because you look at the courtroom. Today's courtrooms, oh my God, you got some kids that are, and I say this because after the fact. After everything settled down, there was no more mass panic. The girls actually came out and apologized because they were making the shit up. They didn't get enough attention. I don't know, but they made the shit up. They got 9 people killed and countless hundreds more in jail. And then they came out and apologized to the families. Oh, we're sorry, we got your... But they should never have been in the courtroom. This is how the courts were back then. They were allowed to be in the courtroom, and then all of a sudden, the witness or the actual accused witch would be on the stand, and they'd all of a sudden... Because they actually, and the reason I say this is because they actually had pins in their hands so that they could actually make it look like these pin pricks from Satan were impacting them. That's one thing. That's one thing historians did find. It was that they actually came out and said, "Yeah, we had pins in our hands so we could actually make it look like Satan was attacking us."
Hey, people do really weird shit for attention.
In today's courts, you start acting up, you're going to be escorted out of the courtroom.
It's all eighth.
And back then too, they also used oh god, what was the term? They didn't use actual evidence. They used oh god damn it, spectral evidence.
Spectral and circumstantial.
It was called spectral evidence, where if all of a sudden they see a fly, she is a witch because, oh my god, there's her familiar. Her familiar's a fly. Or...
I understand that.
And the other thing, so they rip a woman's clothes off and they look for a mark from the devil. I'm sorry, I've probably got about 30 moles on my body. So, oh my god, I'm definitely a witch because there's a witch's mark.
Yeah.
So,
for you, that's actually true, though.
I know it is, but come on. So... Yeah, anyway, it's history. What the hell?
Kayla's a witch.
Huh?
I'm the witch.
She has the mark of the devil right now.
Of course she does.
Oh my god, I do.
So, 80% of those that were killed were women, 20% were men. Back then, male was usually considered a sorcerer or a wizard.
You know, okay, so they do this mass hysteria thing all throughout history, though, because before the witchcraft trials, there were werewolf trials.
Those fucking
I didn't
bastards.
look into that because that's not
No,
the show.
but I mean, so it was
Anyone's
exactly the
different.
same thing. Yeah. It was just in a small area, and I believe it was England. They had the they had the werewolf trials.
Okay,
and that happened years before the witchcraft trials.
Was it? You sure was it Prince?
It might have been, but
no.
London.
But yeah,
okay.
No, actually, I'm not kidding. That's where that movie's based off of. Is the fact that
was it over the werewolf?
The werewolf trials were in London.
That's why America's better. We never started doing any of this till they came over.
They were held out at Scotland Yard.
And a number of other countries involved.
What?
You've got a lot of other countries involved. Not just England and France. You've got Romania and a number of others.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, people have tried for years.
The ones that they kept the best records.
Yeah. Well, and that's
they really
the big
did.
thing is
they wrote everything down, whether it was good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of stupid.
Yeah.
Like
no, they documented everything.
The evidence never encrypted. So, signed stupid YouTuber influencer people today. So don't videotape yourself breaking the law. It's just dumb. Don't ever give yourself up. Don't ever keep the evidence.
Yeah,
why
but
do people
clout.
do that?
They do it all the time.
Something
Like she just said, desperate for attention.
Yeah, you get clout on the internet.
But you know what I mean? Like, they've persecuted people since the beginning of time because they're a little bit different in some way.
If you don't, so
it's just whatever they call them based off of
it goes by class
century.
and it goes by. For a lot of them, it goes by class and it goes by
Race.
Race, yeah.
Class, race, and if you're not acceptance of society's norms or religions.
Right.
Yeah.
remember back in the day when Ugg killed other Ugg because he had a better rock?
Yeah, it wasn't big enough.
I thought that was Cain and Abel.
You were called a heretic back in the day.
Yeah, but so was prostitutes.
I
mean, So
500
anything that went against the church's standards or the church's laws or papal laws, I believe is what it was called. Yeah.
Can I just clarify? We've gotten better. Like,
Oh no, you have. You have.
like
This is not to knock on you, Cole.
Fred,
This is history.
we accept the gays now.
You do.
Yeah, Fred.
Your Pope came out and they
Yeah.
pissed off all the Catholics
And
now.
he writes raps about them.
He does.
Does he?
Yeah, he's got a rap out.
Oh my God.
What?
The
Pope
Pope,
had a rap
absolutely.
I need to listen to this.
Are you serious?
Yeah. He's got an actual record label that produced a record album or a rap album for him when he lived in Argentina.
He needs to do a collab.
Fred, I don't know how good it
By the
is.
way, I'm Catholic as well.
Is it in English or is it in Latin?
I'm a
English or
psychic
Latin?
medium that's Catholic, so I'm going to hell.
No.
Oh, I'm just joking.
Rosella, how old are you? Rosella, how old are you?
Oh, what?
I'm honestly at, like, okay, age range. Like, are you under 60?
Yeah,
Actually,
well,
let's
yes.
put it this way. Are you under 70?
Yes.
Then you know you're going to hell anyways. Because all the 70-year-olds, whenever you walk into a Catholic church, they look at you automatically like you're going to hell because you're younger than them.
No. Have you ever beat one of them in bingo? Oh my God, you're already going to hell.
Oh yeah.
I don't do that. That's scary.
To be honest, in my church, like in around where I am, which is a huge Catholic environment, I'll say that, within like probably like a few hours radius. The people who are my age or younger or maybe 10 years above me, they're worse. They're very
Really?
persecuting.
Oh, see, yeah, no, ours aren't. Well, okay. So I got persecuted because me and my dad tried to bring a band into the Catholic Church, and apparently a set of bongo drums and a guitar are the devil's instruments.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Oh my God.
yeah,
Well, you know, Lucifer was the light bringer. He was the
Hey, we're not like
angel of
that.
music. So,
friend.
We're just happy to have you.
So, like, I'm very used to being looked at like I'm the scum of the earth.
right. Anyway, 1542 brought the Witchcraft Act of 1542 by Henry VIII. It was the first to define witchcraft as a felony in England.
Henry VIII died.
The act provided that the offender and offenders contrary to this act, being thereof unlawfully convict before such as shall have power and authority to hear and determine felonies. They spelled so weird back then. Everything was spelled with a Y.
Okay, wait a minute. So in 1542, Henry VIII
Sail
did
the
what
ocean
now?
blue.
You said
He-
define?
He established the Witchcraft Act of 1542. If you were a witch, it was a felony in England.
And he sailed the ocean
Okay,
blue.
felony. Okay.
Yeah, and it was death.
Wow.
Um,
Need him even more.
The act was repealed in 1547 by Edward VI.
Let's go, Edward.
So in 1562, the Witchcraft Act of 1563 officially enacted against conjuration, enchantment, and witchcrafts, and that was by Elizabeth I.
Let's go, Queen Elizabeth.
That provided, let's see, I'm trying to interpret this crap because they don't know how to write in English in England.
It's definitely
Eat
English.
Dick.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So that actually went against sorcery and necromancy. The act instituted the death penalty only where the accused caused actual harm through the use of witchcraft. Now understand, a lot of the accused witches were known as your wise women and your wise men, your cunning folk. So these were your herbalists that might live in the woods, and they actually people actually went to the wise woman who lived in the woods and got healing. They had protection spells. They had they did all kinds of craft for the townsfolk, and even sometimes the kings and the queens. But if you're a man and you're a sorcerer, they actually used their sorcerers in a lot of the royal families for divination and for prediction of how a war is going to outcome, how the land's going to fare.
Pregnancies.
Huh?
Pregnancy.
They're also used for pregnancies.
Well, so no, those were the midwives, and that's a whole other topic.
No,
what?
They were also used for pregnancies in order to help predict pregnancies.
The wise women. Okay, I got you.
The herbalists were also used for different avenues regarding pregnancies.
Mm-hmm. Well, and abortion as well.
Because I was one of them that did it.
Abortion as well.
Yeah, every aspect.
Abortion, contraception, women's health in general were used by the wise women. What was my train of thought here? So, midwives. Midwives were often accused of witchcraft as well because, back then the male-dominated medical field saw midwives as a threat to what they thought men should only be doctors, men should only be in the medical field. So midwives became a threat. And that was another excuse to use a midwife as a witch. And they were killed.
Yep.
So we move on to the Witchcraft Act of 1604, officially an act against conjuration, witchcraft, and dealing with evil and wicked spirits. And that was King James I. That, I believe, would have been in Scotland. No, that would be England, because he was King James VI in Scotland. And I kind of... So, King James VI, when he did the Scottish witch trials, there was a guy that brought his daughter to him. He requested he used a little more common sense. And I don't like saying that in this context, but he wasn't one to just jump on spectral evidence. King James VI, and if you want, so I know Paula loves looking up documents. If you look up the book of Demonology by King James, and he has there's a lot of old documentation, a lot of old texts that go into a lot of this. He was King James VI in Scotland. He was a ruler of Scotland. Rumor had it that a bunch of witches got together and tried to sink his ship because he went to, I want to say it was Prussia, and met his. No, it wasn't Prussia. It was Sweden. It was one of the Norse countries to meet his wife, and he survived. I believe his wife died. So he hated witches because he heard it was witches that caused it. But he needed more than just spectral evidence. He wasn't one that just went on the word of somebody. He wanted proof. So he was one of the town's guys requested an audience with King James and brought his daughter, and he told the king that my daughter has been bewitched. And we know who did it. And he had a neighbor come, and the neighbor said, yes, it was Margaret, or whatever the name. I don't remember the name. But instead of just taking their word, like they were expecting him to, the king requested that this girl be taken before the doctors of the Catholic Church, or they weren't doctors, but basically the equivalent of a doctor to inspect somebody for bewitchment. And the doctors reported back that, no, she's not bewitched, this is all a fake. The guy was put in prison for falsifying a witch accusation. And so, at least he wasn't like the Salem witch trials where they're just going to take your word because you got a mole. Go ahead, you want to say something?
So I was just looking at, like, you were talking about Henry VIII and Friend.
Right.
Friend. You know, Edward died at 16.
Did he?
Yeah.
A witch got him.
Friend.
I'm telling you, it was a witch. She took him on her broom and she dropped him. And
he was only king for 10 years.
What?
He was king for 10 years.
From the age of 6?
Yeah.
I think I remember that. I do.
Really?
You know I'm a 1,000 years old. Son.
Friend.
Yeah.
And then, did you know that Henry VIII still actually has a descendant out there?
Really?
It's Kate Middleton.
Okay.
What?
That's what makes her royalty. Hey, Robert.
Welcome.
But yeah, that's what makes her royalty is the fact that she is a descendant of Henry VIII. She's the only royal descendant of Henry VIII.
Weird.
Dear blood.
Sorry.
The rest of the royal family isn't related to him.
I'm actually related. I'm like, yeah, like they had children, right?
Who?
Catherine Parr and him.
Yes.
So I'm related to Catherine Parr, and so yeah, I'm a descendant.
So you're Kate Middleton's cousin.
Ooh.
I didn't even know that. That's really strange. Yeah, it's in our genealogy.
She's the only one he had children with that had descendants.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when that was actually happening, he refused to. He denied her.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He had them write into the books that she was not his, that her children were not his.
That's right. Yeah. Right.
Right.
So I do Catherine Parr, like a lot of history searching on her. So interesting.
All right, so I kind of got sidetracked here. So King James I was the first one in England to enact the Witchcraft Act of 1604, but it was not his first time, because, like I said, he was King James VI in Scotland.
Okay, so the actual witchcraft trials, what they would call the witchcraft trials.
Right.
What years were those between?
Oh,
was
God.
that 1800s?
Huh?
Was that the 1800s?
No, that was 14th.
What?
Oh.
That was 1400s to the 1700s.
What I touched.
Oh, okay.
No. 1800s I think is when it started
Is
kind
he who
of
wrote the Bible?
calming down. What?
Did he rewrite the Bible? Like, is he?
I think so.
Okay.
I think he's the same King James.
Give me a second, I'll tell you.
Anyway, so he established the Witchcraft Act of 1604, and that would have been in England. He expanded the Act of 1562 to bring the penalty of death without benefit of clergy to anyone who invoked evil spirits or communed with familiar spirits. The Act remained in force until 1735. So, moving along, 1626. So, all you hear about in America is the Salem witch trials. Now, witches were actually prosecuted multiple times in the colonies before the Salem witch panic happened. So 1626, midwife Joan Wright of Jamestown, Virginia, was the first person in the American colonies known to have been arraigned for being a witch. The record is unclear as to whether she was found guilty of practicing witchcraft. 15 individuals, 13 of them women, were ultimately tried for witchcraft in Virginia. Most were found not guilty. Moving to 1635, you got the Maryland.
Ooh.
What?
You know, it always seems like whenever you talk about one of these kings, it's the young ones that do something notable for witches.
Mm-hmm.
King James was crowned at 13 months old.
Let's go.
13 months?
Yeah.
Did he wave his rattle around?
He was a year old when Mary, Queen of Scots, disappeared.
Yeah.
And then he became king.
Well, it's not the worst king they ever had.
What?
It's not the worst king they ever had.
He's one of them.
Yeah.
Like, he was okay when he was king of Scotland, but when he became king of England, apparently,
The power went to his head.
no, he couldn't do it. He wasn't prepared for the challenges that England presented.
Much bigger country.
Right.
Okay, this might sound ignorant. Who is the one who wrote that King James Bible?
From the looks of it, it is King James II.
Okay, I thought it was this place.
So his son, probably.
Yes.
So, in 1635, the Maryland Assembly adopted the English Witchcraft Act of 1604. South Carolina adopted the statute in 1712, followed by Delaware in 1719. So now you're seeing the progression of the witchcraft acts coming here to U.S. soil. And that's going to come up later in the show because we still have some of these old acts here in America today. So about 3 weeks ago, we actually had a witch shop in Pennsylvania that was visited by the cops because they had a tarot sign on their window. So they had a reader in the shop. And so they were asked, why are you in here? Why are you? And they said, well, we're curious about your tarot because there is a law on our books that you cannot be a diviner. So you think this is just old history? No, it's still actually here today. People usually go to a tarot reader. What's up?
I'm wrong.
What?
King James I was
the one that wrote the Bible or translated the Bible.
He commissioned the Bible to be translated into English.
Oh, okay.
Because he was the first.
That makes sense because he also wrote the Demonology book.
He was the first Catholic king of England.
Oh, okay.
So.
But anyway, it makes me wonder how many other states still have these old laws on the books.
5.
Okay, wait. What was the law?
Huh?
What was the law?
Well, Pennsylvania actually has a law about divining. So, tarot
They
reading.
can't have advertising in the windows.
Yep. So if you are a tarot reader in Pennsylvania and you advertise that you're doing tarot readings, they can actually come and arrest you.
What? That makes no sense.
Nope. So I'm just gonna bring this up. It's okay to be, you look at the National Apostolic Reformation, and it's okay to claim to be a prophet of God and take money from the church and make up a bunch of bullshit that you go to heaven every day and ride down a slide on a volcano. Because that's what they do for entertainment, so according to this prophet. We have witchcraft acts on the books that most states aren't going to pay attention to, but your more southern states will because it's the Bible Belt. That came up about 3 weeks ago with Pennsylvania. 1638, a complaint was filed against midwife Jane Hawkins of Boston, Massachusetts, accusing her of witchcraft. 1641, the General Court of the Massachusetts Bay Colony adopted the following statute: if any man or woman be a witch, that is, hath or consulted with a familiar spirit, they shall be put to death. And they quote all these Bible verses to back it up. 1642, the colony of Connecticut enacted the following capital law: if any man or woman be a witch, that is, hath or consulted with a familiar spirit, they shall be put to death. And of course they use the same Bible verses. 1647, Alcee Young of Windsor, Connecticut, is the first person known to have been executed for witchcraft in the American colonies. And remember, this isn't the Salem witch trials. This is other colonies. But all anybody hears about or focuses on is the Salem witch trials.
But those are the ones that are documented. There were many that were not documented.
Oh, no, absolutely. But she was hung in Hartford, Connecticut on May 26, 1647. The specific charges against her are not known, or the details of the trial. The following year, Mary Johnson of Wethersfield, Connecticut, was probably executed in Hartford after a forced confession. And when they say forced confession, so the first thing they did that's documented is they would ask her if she was a witch, as she kissed Satan's third eye, because the first thing that was accused was these witches were consorts for the devil.
Still, that's kind of fucking gross to kiss his eye. That's disgusting.
You know what his eye was, right?
Gooey.
His asshole.
Okay, well then that's just kinky. I don't kink shame, so
I'm not talking about his eyeball. I'm talking about his asshole.
That's probably not as gooey.
I thought they were talking about something else, but
no. He had been. I mean, so you look up the artwork of Goya, and the artwork of. If you look at the artwork of Goya, He has the Witch's Sabbath. He has a whole bunch of. They always depicted the women as nude.
I prefer the artwork of Gozer.
Gozer? Oh, God.
Oh, Steve.
Don't you be shaking your head at me, Nikki.
These are the Gazarian.
So the first thing they did, especially in the European, they did torture in the Salem witch trials of war. An interesting fact here, you've ever heard the term the third degree?
Yeah.
That comes from the witch trials. So
I think that comes from the samurai.
the samurai? Okay.
Third degree back belt.
Uh-huh. Well, the first degree, so before they even come to the torture degrees, they rip their clothes off and they look for the devil's mark, which can be a mole. And if they can't find one, they basically make one up, because if they look for a spot on the body where they're poking a pin, and if there's a dead spot, so maybe they had nerve damage or something, that's where the devil's mark is.
Dude, I would have been like,
I'm
killed with
fucked.
this.
I want to go back in history with a gun. I do.
I would get beat with a fish because I'm left-handed.
So
You would.
they.
You haven't rolled in like 20 days to see if you die.
Just 'cause you're
Oh,
left-handed.
yeah.
So here's what's
Where's the
fucked up
dice?
too. So if a woman had a wart or a mark on their body, they would be terrified because they're going to accuse me of having a witch's mark. Witch's mark.
There was something with that too, if I remember right.
They would cut.
Left-handed witches. If witches, if
Yeah.
they're left-handed,
His left-handed was
that
seen
proves
as
it too.
the son of the devil too.
Yeah.
But they would cut their warts off to hide them. Well, that's going to leave a scar. So they'd see the scar and say, "Oh, you tried to hide a witch's mark, and now you're just screwed anyway." But they still usually didn't testify. They didn't confess. So then they would either be put on a stretching table, which picture a table where they would tie the feet and they tie the hands, and they'd start pulling. And
Make them a little
so usually the first degree would be they put your fingers in oh god, it's a weird it's a word for it, but I can't remember the name. Pinker winkle or winkle something. It was a weird.
Contorts them.
Huh?
It contorts the fingers.
It squishes them.
Well, yeah, but it.
It smashes them. It breaks the bones. And oftentimes, that still didn't break a confession. The second torture phase was where I can't remember the name of this one either, but there's a whole array of torture tools they used, and there was a device they put in the woman's mouth.
You can buy one of those at Lover's now.
Oh, you're wrong.
No, she's not.
Nope.
No, I know. I did.
It's quite the
wrong kind of
selection.
device, but it I can't remember what it did, but it caused excruciating pain, and usually they broke on that one. They would confess. Sometimes, if they made it to the third degree, this
With
is
a
more
ball gag?
term, huh?
With a ball gag?
No.
Kind of, no, but it
That was a
they
device.
go ahead.
The device that opens up slowly, and as it opens up, it causes more, depending upon how it was used, on the tongue, the sides of the cheek, and the two sections on the roof of the mouth.
Right.
It could shatter different sections
Of the jaw.
of the jaw. It could shatter the roof of the mouth. It could shatter teeth, literally from the bone itself. All sorts of things that it did.
Mm-hmm. And that broke. That
and they were
broke
slowly
actually a
twisted
majority of them.
open.
Yeah, and that broke a majority of them. A majority of them couldn't handle through that. If they actually made it through the third degree, that's where they usually died at the third degree. And that's where the third degree term, you're grilling them at to the third degree comes from today.
Yep.
So once they got their little confession, if they even made it to the stage of confession, then they would give up 8 names and they would be put in jail. There's actually a letter that's documented where a woman, and I might have it written down here, but she actually sent a letter to her husband saying, bring me, basically it's awful, my children will be motherless, please bring me poison that I may kill myself rather than go through torture. If not today, do it tomorrow. And that was Karen something. It was K something. They actually, it's actually very well documented.
Sanderson?
Huh? No. Let's see here.
The lesser known
I think I
sister.
already covered that. Yeah, Assembly of the Colony of Rhode Island and Providence Plantations adopted the following statute. Witchcraft is forbidden by this present assembly to be used in this colony, and the penalty imposed by the authorities that we are subjected to is a felony of death. So it appears that no one was ever prosecuted under this statute. Margaret Jones, 1648, Charleston, Massachusetts. Did I cover that one already? I don't think I did. A healer and an herbalist, was the first woman executed by hanging for practicing witchcraft in Boston. Her husband was also arrested but was later released. 1651.
What year was that?
That was Margaret Jones.
What year?
Or what year?
Yeah, that
1648.
16.
Yeah, I was out of there by then.
In the great year of Margaret Jones.
1651.
That's
Yeah.
actually, if you guys watch Aerial View, I don't know, I'm really into all that, but if you watch Aerial View on Boston, they actually have that in their documentary.
Yeah.
Interesting.
1651, you have John and Joan Carrington of Wethersfield, Connecticut. Husband and wife were indicted for witchcraft on February 20th and found guilty on March 6th. They were most likely executed by hanging. They were the first couple executed for witchcraft in the American colonies. Between 1647 and 1697, approximately 42 individuals were accused of witchcraft in Connecticut. Several of them multiple times, and at least 10 were executed.
I can attest to that one. I was in Connecticut in a number of years because I got out of Massachusetts. That was a lifetime where I was a witch, and I got out of Massachusetts and went to Connecticut. And there was a coven that I was with, and almost all of us got out. And there were a lot of trials that went on even in Connecticut. Some that weren't even documented. Just horrible things. Horrible things.
So at this point, I think you get the gist. The last day of 1730, the October 22nd issue of the Pennsylvania Gazette, edited by Benjamin Franklin, reported on a witch trial at Mount Holly, New Jersey.
Hold on. Pull that out.
Oh.
Thank you.
So this is Benjamin Franklin, reported on a witch trial at Mount Holly, New Jersey. A man and woman were reportedly charged with making the neighbor's sheep dance in an uncommon manner. I'm not even going to touch that one.
John, you're a witch. I've seen what you do with that cat.
I've never done anything to the cat.
You made him dance.
It was causing hogs to speak.
To the maraca.
They caused hogs to speak and sing psalms. At the time the article was accepted by many as being accurate, Dr. Franklin apparently had a good laugh at the hoax.
Hey, John. Say something.
Something.
Come on.
Just say something.
Say something.
No.
I'm a witch.
Wow.
So that kind of shows you, and my point with all that was to show that there were witch trials that were going on in the American colonies long before the Salem witch trials, or even during the time of the Salem witch trials.
They went back long before the 500s.
What are the possibilities
600s.
any of them were witches?
Some of them. But witches, not necessarily. Some of them were just, like I said, herbalists.
Yeah.
Or midwives.
How many of them is it a possibility that they were actually not true witches, but evil people? Any of them, you think?
No.
Well, I think.
Why?
I think
Maybe some of them.
There's a few.
I agree. I
But
think people-
I'm not saying they were right in doing it at all, Eric. What I'm saying is, even a fucking broken clock is right twice a day.
Right. Right.
And that's what I said. There's got to be like a few of them. That
A few of them were witches.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Witches.
And there was probably a few stupid ones that, like, sat in the local pub and said, that Satan guy, he's got some good ideas.
No shit, huh?
There is always that person.
And then all of a sudden
there
the
was
whole bar
too
goes
much fear
quiet.
back then.
So going
There was
way
Too
beyond.
much fear back then. You didn't talk.
So 8 BC, you can look up Hesiod actually wrote in his books, I believe Hesiod was a philosopher of that time, or historian.
A flosser?
Hestion?
Like
Hesiod.
the dance?
He described Hecate, a goddess. And so Hecate was the goddess of the witches. So that's really how far back you can go when you're talking about the term witch. And it goes beyond that. So if you want to talk about how long has witchcraft been around, since the beginning of civilization. Sumerian. Because they believed they did magic in Sumeria. It's Babylonia.
Well, they've done what was considered magic from the beginning of time. Like, I'm sure that the very first person to make an actual fire, they were like,
No, absolutely.
okay.
Absolutely.
But that's the thing. In that sense, Eric, the problem I have with sentences like that is the fact that if you actually look at parts of every religion, they all start at the beginning of civilization.
Yeah.
No, they do.
No, for sure.
And like every single one of them. Never mind, I'm not going to say that part. Friend.
Vapor
Everyone
lock?
except maybe Mormonism.
I know that was John Smith.
Yeah. Friend, that was one hell of a trip. But, friend.
That had to do with aliens, too.
Well, Mormonism is just Christianity with an add-on. It's a DLC.
No.
That takes a takes a huge left turn from Christianity.
We still celebrate Halloween. We don't mind people knocking on our doors, friend, which is awkward. But no, there's parts of that where in the Mormon book, the Book of Mormon, he talks about things that have nothing to do with any religion of sorts. It's his own beliefs that he was putting into that book that have nothing to do with any religion before.
Right.
Yeah, John Smith had some interesting ideas.
Like some, he took from every religion, Rick. So it does have parts of everything, but you can say that about almost every religion everywhere because really, they all started from the same area. Friend. My parents are right now celebrating because they just found out everyone in the world is at least 1% black. Friend. So I told Mom that's not true.
Hey, does that mean?
And then I said, and to prove that, we're going to LA. I'm going to take you to South Central, and I want you to say the N-word. Because I want you to tell the black people down there that you have the right.
Yeah, I'm 1%. I can say it. And I'll do it hard R.
Really?
No, I won't.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I don't think it will be a Family Guy situation. I will not be crowned king. I will die in an alley.
As king? King of the alley?
Yeah.
So, if you want to look up a text, look up the Maclu. So the Maclu MAQLU Tablet 2, and this was in 219 to 224. They actually,
That was a good year.
It was. So they have the Maclu Burning. It was an Akkadian incantation, which concerns the performance of a rather lengthy anti-witchcraft ritual. So if you felt you were bewitched or cursed by a witch, it was a ritual that you did.
What Snape was doing.
Huh? Snape?
Yeah.
Well, this was long before Snape.
Well, but when Harry was on the broomstick and doing Quidditch, and
yeah. Well, the incantation
it was
goes,
that thing.
So this is This is a long series of burning rites. So this sounds more like, and it's interesting because this is like a puppet. So a doll
Puppet
figure.
Oh,
a puppet thing. So their incantation was, whoever you are, witch, who took clay for my figurine from the river, who buried figurines of me in the dark house, who buried my water in a tomb, who picked up scraps discarded by me from the dust heaps, who tore off the fringe of a garment of mine at the fuller's house, who gathered dirt touched by my feet from a threshold I sent to the gate of the quay. They bought me tallow for your figurine. I agree. I sent to the canal of the city. They pinched off clay for me. This was an incantation actually.
What's tallow?
Huh?
Does anyone remember what tallow is?
A fat.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Depends
tallow,
on what
tallow
was
is
used.
fat.
And if it's, I mean, you're talking a very specific kind of fat, usually.
like
So-
human fat.
And we're not talking bacon fat.
No, because I am sitting against you, the burning oven, the flaming fire god, the ever-light fire god, the steady light of the gods. She trusts in her artful witchcraft, but I trust in the steady light of the fire god, the judge. Fire god, burn her. Fire god, incinerate her. Fire god, overpass. And so this was an anti-witchcraft incantation in 219
That seems a little excessive.
from the Akkadians. And again, you've got Hecate, the goddess of the witches. That was back in... so the Athenians actually worshipped Hecate. And this was back in, what, 8 BC?
Like the Greek Athenians?
Yeah. So Babylon.
Is she a Greek goddess or...
Hecate, I believe,
Is she-
was. And so if you've ever seen the goddess Circe...
Because...
Yep.
So I think there's a name in Egyptian gods that is kind of close.
so a lot of them crossed over.
Yeah, so, well, yeah, like Greek, Roman, and...
They all merged their deities together.
Yeah.
Which is why you've got Zeus and...
They believed in free love between the gods. Well, and between the gods and humans.
Right.
But,
What? No.
well, some of them did. Zeus did. He that guy was a fucking whore.
Yeah, well, a lot of the Greek gods were. A lot of the Greek gods were known for sleeping around with human women and
Just 'cause Hera didn't
raping
like it.
human women.
Hades was like
Vice
actually the
versa.
only one that really wasn't.
Not true. He had his woman.
Was
What?
He had his woman.
he was flaming?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of the Greek gods also had sex.
So he had his beard.
No, but a lot of the Greek gods were known for having sex with males and females. They didn't care.
They were gay.
No, they were.
Wow.
Dude, whoa.
Well, how come when you say it, it sounds like an insult?
I don't know. I guess I get it from my parents.
So some would see Lilith, Adam's
We
first
didn't
wife,
make you gay.
as potentially the first witch. Lilith.
I thought she was the first demon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's up to interpretation.
That's Catholic rhetoric.
Yeah, that's up to interpretation. The only
It really
reason
is.
God didn't like her, Lilith, was because all she wanted was to be equal with man. It
Yeah.
had nothing to do with being better than man. She wanted equal.
Yeah, now it's different. They want to be better.
And she was created by the same dirt Adam was. She wasn't taken from a rib like he was.
And she was.
Huh? But
I do take issue with that. We have no writings from it, well,
the book of... God damn it. I'm trying to remember which book it was.
but it's still someone else's interpretation
It
of her
is.
words.
No, absolutely.
So therefore, like, I don't
But
think
the
we can
same thing as
actually
Genesis.
say, yeah, but I don't think we can say what she wanted.
So, in Catholicism, is there any book that is actually written by God?
She could, huh?
Is there any book?
No.
Because I know you take issue with the Bible because there is no words of God in the Bible.
No.
Is there any words of God in any of the Catholic books?
We only have the one.
I thought you had other...
No, those are hymn books.
Oh, okay.
Right, we have other hymn books, and then we have the Book of Rites.
Okay.
Yeah.
But everything's written by man. So, like, that's the thing. I take issue with it because if it doesn't come straight from the source, you don't fucking believe it. That's the way that works. You believe in what they say, but it doesn't mean that's actually what they said.
Right. No, I get it.
The words could be great. But like, even the Ten Commandments,
Huh?
the Ten Commandments,
Right.
they came written on a stone.
I know.
Only one guy actually heard him say it.
Moses.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
No.
It's word of mouth again. Friend, that doesn't mean they aren't great words.
Right.
Like,
It's moral.
thou shalt not kill. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Friend.
Yeah.
You know,
The Book of Enoch. That's what it was. It's one of the books that was found that didn't get included in the
Dead
Bible.
Sea Scrolls,
Huh?
like with the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Book of Enoch. So, and I actually have the Book of Enoch. Again, I haven't read it. I'm about to start doing some
But
reading.
again, those ones I definitely take issue with because, friend, why did they hide them? Why were they protecting them so well that no one was allowed to actually have access to them?
And I don't know who you would
Because
blame. I don't know if you would blame the Catholics
Because they were
or
the
the
real
Protestants.
No, I blame
I don't-
everybody.
Huh?
I
No,
blame everybody.
for picking and choosing which books to put in the Bible and which ones not to.
It's because they were the real books.
Neither.
The ones that were unchanged.
Neither truly existed at that point. Most of them was the Jews. Friend,
Maybe.
True. Well, and then you got a whole section of Jews that are cult.
yeah.
Yeah, they just did
Right.
everything wrong.
So, but like the Bible is a very good book. I will say that. I do believe it is the good book. But it's still just a book.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I look at it as like playing a game of telephone. Okay, you start out, you say something to this dude. By the time that it gets back around to you,
But it also
it's
depends.
misconstrued.
Because if
Yeah.
they were actual witness to the event and they wrote it down.
And no, it doesn't
on a
matter
tablet
because
or whatever.
then it's translated and moved and all of this other
Translations
crap
could be
through so many
fucked
years
up, absolutely.
that it's never going to be what it originally
Like, thou
was.
shalt not kill could have been Cain shall not kill.
Right. Kill everyone.
Yeah. Friend,
Yeah.
I think that's true too, and it's like really important to remember that kind of like that happens, the whisper around the room. And
Yeah.
just completely changed. But I do think that it has very good points, and
absolutely.
I just don't believe in a way, like you said too. A man wrote it, and I think that it's to control mostly power.
Like, and there are stories in it that I believe are absolutely true. Just maybe
Right.
not the way they're exactly written. There was a great flood. There had to have been. There's too many random fucking religions.
Every culture has a great flood.
Exactly.
And that's only what we have documents. So if you go by the Earth purging, Earth cycles, where the Earth does a flip and everything gets wiped out and reset, if you go by the Earth reset theories, there's civilizations before ours that we have no clue because they're buried so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Recycle Earth theory.
So,
Well, and the stupid thing is, like, Noah was known to be a fucking drunk. So, like, and now, if a drunk came up and said, God told me to build a boat,
No, you see them
You
all the
walk by
time.
and you say, okay, you do that. And then you walk away.
No, those are the drunks you see on the street corners with the sign that says, "The end of the world is near."
Yeah.
I mean,
For-
you laugh, you
but-
keep on driving.
That's the thing. Back then, they actually gave him purchase. To a point, like they gave his story purchase. They
Right.
believed it for a point. To a point. I mean, shit. People actually got on the boat. So
Yeah.
it would be awkward, though. You guys got to admit, okay? If it was all the same flood, it would be awkward if Noah is sitting there. He's in his boat with his family. He believes he's the only one. And all of a sudden, they run into another boat from another religion.
It's the Muslims.
Yeah.
That's
It's just like, well.
maybe that's where the holy wars started.
Yeah. If I were Noah personally, I would have gotten rid of a few insects.
You know, I would have been better off.
Mosquitoes.
No.
Yeah.
They fucking fly, guys.
No, cockroaches.
Yeah.
They hung
Die.
on the roof of the damn ark. What are you
No,
talking
they
about?
just
If a flood
lived in the water.
if
the
a
whole
nuclear
time.
bomb can't kill cockroaches, do you think a flood's gonna do it?
Yes.
They're gonna grow.
Yeah.
They're gonna grow long, or gills or something.
And like fleas.
And there's one soul
Those
Twinkie
can die.
floating
Yeah.
with Noah.
I cannot get rid of those.
Yeah, you can just wash the cat.
I do.
Who was the guy that got eaten by the whale for like 5 days?
Jonah.
Pinocchio.
No, that was Jonah.
No, it's Pinocchio too. They're like, let's not.
okay.
Yeah. I know my
You give
Pinocchio.
Disney his due.
Or Captain Ahab with Moby Dick. I mean, did he get eaten by the whale?
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
Friend,
He just went mad because he couldn't get it.
friend. I think that is actually more a story of love.
Pinocchio?
Unrequited love.
Yeah.
Friend. What? Don't look at me like that.
Are you talking about Moby Dick or
It's a jealous
Moby
guy
Dick.
who can't get the girl.
So
Friend.
he starts making fun of her and calling her a whale.
And then starts throwing spears at her. He's going back to his caveman days.
Oh my god.
Well, I mean, it opens up with, "Hey, baby, call me Ishmael." Like, no. It's bad.
Oh, holy crap.
Good lord.
That's right. S-4 tonight, we're rewriting history.
We are.
Friend.
And you know what? Watch. This is going to be the only damn podcast that survives the new world, and they'll be like, "Hey, check this out."
Right?
That world will be screwed.
Guys, you do realize the alien just said that there will be a new world. Like, something's going to happen.
The New World Order?
We're fucked. Something's going to happen.
Oh,
Oh God! What
it's on
happened?
its way.
What? Oh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sorry. They've been talking about a new world order since the first person on
Oh,
the
yeah.
world.
Who
Like,
has? The humans or your people?
There ain't gonna be no order to it.
everybody.
It's gonna boom.
All right. So Julius Caesar wrote about the European shamans,
At tu brute.
which were also known as Druids. So the Wicker Man story also came from here.
Wicker.
And so
What the fuck is a Wicker Man?
Wicker Man actually was a human sacrifice to the gods. A lot of the time they were volunteers, and sometimes prisoners.
It's also a really good Nicolas Cage movie.
It is. I think that's the best rendition of it.
Oh God, I hate all Nicolas Cage movies.
I love all Nicolas
Oh,
Cage movies.
what? No.
She's just jelly.
I am not jelly. I
Yeah,
don't.
you're jelly.
Nicolas Cage can't
Jelly,
act.
jelly.
Oh my God.
The Germanic tribe saw women as the seer and spiritual leaders. So here you still have a matriarchal society versus a patriarchal in the Germanic tribe.
It's okay.
Velida was a seer during the Roman times, but in the Germanic land she forbid many war winds taken to Rome when invaded Germanic tribes.
You know, I've known that word since I was 10 years old.
What's that? Velida?
Germanic.
Germanic?
You know why?
Why?
There is an old cartoon set, friend, called Astro. And it was about a Viking.
I think I remember that.
Yeah. friend. And in Canada, it was all in French. Friend, so I never understood what they were saying. But it was a good
Do you have a translator?
friend.
So in the Scandinavian stories, you got the vulva.
Whoa. That's a lot of Scandinavian.
The vulva were female seers, and they work with the goddess Freya.
It's a very lippy story.
So the actual Norse witch is called the Vitki, and while the vulva was a shaman.
Okay, whoa.
Just saying.
The Vigi?
But you couldn't find...
Vitki.
Oh,
You always
okay.
had
I was
problems
like, the
finding
Vigi
her
and the vulva. Wow.
You always had problems finding her familiar.
Oh, yeah,
That's
it
it.
was the clitoris. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say something about the pussycat. I really did. I was like, oh, shut up.
So 8th century BC, Hestia also mentions demons, earth guardians, so in a positive light. But they were good and bad demons. Actually, we actually covered that when we did our demon show, so I'm not going to go into that. 8th BC, Homer writes about Circe, which was a witch, and daughter of Hecate, I want to say. The Pythia Oracle of Delphi from ancient Greece, and oracles were seen as witches.
Okay, whoa. The
What?
Oracle of Delphi.
Right?
Okay.
Delphi.
Now, I've done a lot of research on the Oracle of Delphi.
Okay.
And honestly, she was just tripping balls.
Well, she was seen as a witch.
Yeah, but I mean, she sat in a cave where there was a lot of different
Yeah, but so
CO2?
CO2 and shit around. And she just tripped balls and told people what she saw.
So do
was
shamans.
mostly Greece.
I mean,
You
come
gotta
on.
think, like most of them, that is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a trip. It's not just they have to leave
And
Like
reality
Odin
to
kinda like
actually
said
see
it
it.
is
magic
actually,
pool water
I would
for it.
consider that legitimate because if you think about it, we do use our minds at a limited capacity. But when you do take certain drugs, it does open your mind and allow you to think in ways that you normally wouldn't. Right.
Hell, smoke weed.
Every day.
And then you end up with Alice in Wonderland.
Dude, that was not weed. That was mushrooms, and they
Oh,
proved that
good
when
God.
they're like, eat this one, it makes you grow big.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's so sick.
That was
Hey, that's
tripping
Mario.
balls on
No,
mushrooms.
that's a little blue pill.
Yeah.
No,
So
maybe.
if a
Actually,
man,
he was tripping acid.
so what we call today,
Viagra.
yeah, basically. So women got accused of witchcraft if a man couldn't get a hard on. If he couldn't get it up.
Serious?
Yep. That would be seen as a witch cursing a man because, well, maybe she wanted to sleep with him and he said no.
Well, I'm just saying, but from
So,
the
he
old
blamed
pictures
his-
of what a witch was supposed to look like, there's a reason that the guy didn't get it.
Well, everyone says the freaking Wild West was such a bad place to live. Friend, they got rid of that whole stigma. It was just syphilis, that's why.
Oh, God.
Because everybody had it.
Yeah, okay, well, how do we... Okay. So, back in times where there was absolutely no protection for any of the venereal diseases or anything, right?
No, they took an oak tree.
There
and made
was
a condom.
protection.
Yeah.
Remington made a beautiful 6-shooter.
And they used lambskin.
But how
Yeah.
in the hell do we
Intestines.
not all still have syphilis or something?
How the fuck do you know that?
I mean, honestly, like, when you...
Don't worry about it.
What are you watching?
Oh,
No.
God.
This was from a totally different subject, actually. That I learned that, and it went down a rabbit hole. I was trying to learn.
Stomach lining.
I was trying to learn how to say
Yeah, stomach lining
a
and
phrase in
intestines.
Russian, and
Oh.
it ended up being that.
So basically, sausage wrapping?
Yeah.
Okay.
about it.
Got it.
What do you think hot dogs look like little penises? Just saying. And you eat them all the time.
If your penis looks like a hot dog, get that shit checked out right now.
Yeah.
Like, get to the hospital.
All right, so in the Bible, you got the Witch of Endor, who
Isn't that from Lord
King
of the Rings?
Samuel went to her and conjured.
The Force.
Huh?
The Force.
And it was
Yes.
with him.
For,
Yep.
I was thinking the same thing.
I'm very disappointed in you, John.
involved in this?
What?
What?
I said, are Ewoks involved in any of this?
Ewoks
said Witch of
were
Endor, right?
demons.
Friend, they are not. Well, no.
Yeah. Have you not seen the war with Ewoks and Stormtroopers? It was horrible.
It was great.
For the Ewoks, not for the Stormtroopers. They
Screw
were
those guys.
no.
Yeah,
Oh,
They're just making minimum wage out there.
Yeah, but it's okay because minimum wage is almost $20, so they're fine.
Yeah, they're giving up their lives for that.
All right, so in 1136, you got Geoffrey of Monty pens the book of Kings of Britain. He pens the story of Merlin, the wizard, and Morgan Le Fay was supposedly the half-sister of Merlin, if you go by that story. So, interesting story with Italy. You've got the Strega,
Strega.
and they are usually, that's probably the country that's got the most generational witches, because they actually...
Half sister would make sense, though.
Oh, with Merlin?
Yeah, because you think of the love-hate relationship that every story tells of them. Like, there's so many different versions of their story together.
Right.
And half of it's love, half of it's hate. Sometimes it's fucking both.
Sometimes it's incest.
Well, friend, they learned that from Cersei.
No, they learned that in the Bible.
Well, no, the Lannister family did it first.
Okay.
And better. Friend, ask HBO.
So the Scottish witch hunts, 4,000 women died for being witches, and that was from 1560 to 1607.
And they identified them by their tartan.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. 1631, you got witches were in jail for Scotland. 1662 are the Bute witches in Scotland. Since the beginning of the witch experience in Scotland, many people died due to these three. So the Bute witches, B-U-T-E, were really what started the witch craze of Scotland. And more were named. So they're actually the three that came out in after torture. They came out and said, yes, we did put a curse on the sea, basically, and we tried to crash your boat.
Well, and the stupid part with the Scottish ones is, like, the guys would come back from, like, hunting, right? And
couldn't get a hard
they
on.
would point to a girl and say, that bitch put a friggin' curse on me.
And
They'd have an arrow through their fucking chest, but everyone believed they died of witchcraft.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely fucking stupid.
Yeah.
So many
Did you
Scottish
have the
witches,
Vikings?
huh?
Do you have info on the Vikings?
I didn't go into the Vikings a whole lot.
They're a fairly shitty football team.
Yeah, but they beat the 49ers.
Meh.
Well, that's not hard.
Right?
That's basically like beating the
So
Browns.
many Scottish witches actually claim fairies were assisting them. And I think we've discussed this on the show before about fairies versus demons. And it depends on culture, it depends on belief.
Yeah.
But many Scottish witches actually work with the Fae. But the church claimed the fairies were actually of the devil. So witches only worked with
And
the
they
devil.
destroyed the standing stones in a lot of Scottish areas because of it.
Yeah.
You know, to be perfectly honest, if we would have just left shit, not destroyed a whole bunch of our culture and society, then maybe we would understand more about everything.
No, absolutely. How many libraries were destroyed?
Yes and no.
In Turkey, for example. The Alexandrian Library was destroyed. And a lot of our documentation and a lot of our history was destroyed.
I will say yes and no.
Okay.
A lot of things were only created through destruction.
Well, yeah.
We have a lot of
Okay,
medications
yeah.
that the only reason that they exist is because they tried to burn something else, and this showed up.
Right.
Right.
Friend, like there's a lot of situations where that happened. Friend, destruction is the only reason we have an internal combustion engine.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Friend. So
Here, this is going to make you laugh. So in Scotland, a Janet, we talked about Karen.
Mm-hmm.
In Scotland, a Janet was a generic name for a witch.
Kayla, to you, that's a Janice.
So in Scotland, they were actually strangled first, so they were killed before they were burned. They were strangled and then burned.
Damn.
Ow.
Wow.
Well, no,
that
I'd
makes sense.
rather be strangled and then burnt.
Yeah,
So
and it does make sense.
In Salem, they didn't basically think of it this way. The rope was so short, you didn't have your neck broken.
But also
You would hang.
think of how many people that they buried alive in those days.
No, they had a bell.
But to prove she's actually fucking dead,
So
okay, let's burn the shit out of her.
So the reason they dunked, they figured because they turned their back on baptism, water would reject them if they were a witch. So if they floated, they were a witch because the water's rejecting them. If they sunk and drowned anyway, oh my God, I guess she wasn't a witch, but she's dead now because she sunk.
So if you're fat, you were automatically a witch.
Yep. Apparently.
But only your ass, because usually it's the ass that floats out.
Well,
And-
yeah,
and
because
what's
you wouldn't have been
fucked up-
able to eat that good if you weren't a witch.
So when Matthew Hopkins was on his rampage as Witchfinder General, he wasn't supposed to do. He was only supposed to get a confession, but he wasn't allowed by the Church of England to do torture.
Yeah. No, I remember that.
Do you?
Friend, yeah, I remember reading that letter.
The Witchfinder General?
Oh, yeah, I've got a bunch
Breton?
of those.
Huh?
In Britain? How are you not allowed to do that?
No, there
he
was-
received a letter from the church stating that he is not allowed to kill them.
Damn.
Nope.
Friend.
Now there was one case. There was only one case where he actually did try to do a I can't remember what they call it. It wasn't a dunking, but the water rejection, and it was actually a priest that he didn't like because he went against him, and they actually sleep deprivation was a big tactic he used, and this was an old man, and he had his little partners with him, and they grabbed this guy and they ran him for 3 days. They made him run. So there was a guy on each side of him, and they just ran him back and forth until finally they said, "Yes, I saw the devil." Blah blah blah. Actually, no, he did not confess, and they threw him in a pond. And of course, he sank and died. But that was actually, I believe, opened a lot of people's eyes and was actually the turning point where they went against him. He actually died. So there's actually 2 stories of how he died. Because nobody really fully knows. Some think he died by himself in his own bed of tuberculosis. I think it was, if I remember right. Yeah, tuberculosis.
Too many people had died of that back then.
Oh.
Friend.
Yeah.
That's what killed Edward the Sixth.
In England. So in England, if they wouldn't allow women to talk. So the whole picture of women gathering at the fence to gossip. If you were seen talking to other women, then you are actually a witch because you're passing secrets to each other. I believe it was in England too, where when they came to court, they had to walk in backwards because they were afraid of the third eye. They were afraid of the evil eye. She could curse them if she walked in looking at them. So she had to walk into the courtroom backwards. So again, King James wrote the Book of Demonology. Good book for you to download and read. It's just interesting how they wrote back then, and their lack of common sense back then. So Shakespeare, the play of The Tempest and Macbeth was really one of the original documentation of bringing out witches. Look up the 15th and 16th centuries featuring the witch paintings of Deuter. So not just Goya, but if you want to see some of the ancient paintings of witches, look up Deuter in Germany. That's D-U-D-E-R. And so going to the Quran, if you look up the Talmud actually condones witchcraft in all forms and is the esoteric occult form of Judaism, which follows the works of Solomon. So, some documents you can look up. And look up the Roman witch named Canidia. So Rome actually conducted the earliest forms of witch hunts in 331 BC. They wanted to purge Rome of undesirables and political opponents. 170 people were prosecuted for poisoning. And it was primarily women that were charged for causing the plagues. So Lacusta, Lacusta, was arrested for poisoning, and the emperor's wife approached her to kill her husband. So the emperor, Nero, replaced him. And he also went for the same poisoner, and she poisoned his opponent. So Lacusta became Nero's personal poisoner, and became basically the first documented serial killer, until Nero's replacement in 68 AD after Nero's suicide. And then she was killed by Emperor Galba. Yeah, it's been a history month studying this shit. So again, the 1500s, you have the cunning folk. And the cunning folk were the ones that were the wise women, the wise men, but it wasn't wise men. They were used for healing, herbal usage. They could tell if someone had bewitched them, help find something that was lost, and advice. And these were later actually, obviously the ones being seen as witches. And it was so common, there was a cunning folk that was 10 miles from every village in England. That's how many of these wise people there were. An interesting painting, 1510, Hans Balding Green, is Witch's Sabbath painting. So, we're half an hour out.
Yeah.
I kind of figured we'd talk about witches today. We talked about the history pretty good. And in the beginning of the show,
I prefer Sabrina.
well, yeah, so actually The Wizard of Oz was the first positive portrayal of a witch. Because you have the good witch, and of course
That green bitch was evil. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
No, you have the good witch, you have the wicked witch of the
Right.
west, and you have the good witch.
What about the witch that got crushed?
Well, but that can be interpretation again.
It could be.
Was she good?
Well,
She could have just sent David.
Which was an opportunity.
but,
Well, they said she
but,
was worse than the other one was.
but,
Yeah,
wa-
'cause she
but
could've just
water
sent her
didn't
home.
make her melt.
Yeah.
How do we know? She never got doused.
She did in the rainstorm.
What rainstorm?
I don't know.
No, she never got doused. We don't actually know if she was a good witch. She just claimed to be.
Well, do you ever notice that the people that are all like beautiful and they're like, "Hey, I'm the good witch," usually
Well,
end
you know-
up being the like,
No, you're right.
horrible
'Cause-
ass person? Like, I'm just saying.
And you know what? There's actually
Well,
a new
in
movie
the-
that portrays
in the
that very
theater,
well.
in the
But
play,
look at
then she
the
is.
Yeah.
look at the Wicked Witch in Chronicles of Narnia.
Well, like the ice
She
queen.
wore all white.
Yeah, that's what I said. The ice queen.
So you can't. Yeah. So you,
Elsa after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
Also before the fact.
before the fact.
So, what
Maybe.
do witches today
Not this
believe?
first.
Yeah, because I know this is one
I
of
don't think
Paula's.
you can even have
This
a
is what it
statement
was.
for that, really.
What's that?
I don't think you can actually just have one statement for that. Because there's so many different
You
forms
can,
of people
you
who
can,
call
and you
themselves-
can't.
Yeah.
So
He keeps laughing.
it depends
Yeah.
on the individual. So if you want to look at the commonalities, is I guess what you would look at. So
There you go.
not all, but you have Wiccans. So there's a term. So not all witches are Wiccan, but all Wiccans are witches, and that is true. Because Wiccans. So backtracking just briefly, Wicca was brought to America.
Not all Wiccans are Wiccan.
Well, that's a whole other topic. They just like the name. Name and label, and that's it. So Gerald Gardner actually brought Wicca to the United States in 1952. 1947, he was in England, and he wrote books, but he labeled them as fiction. He wrote books as fiction in England about witchcraft, about a coven that he was dealing with. And it was shortly after they repealed the Witchcraft Act in England that he started coming out public. Because he didn't dare to come out. What? You want to say something, Nikki?
What do you consider voodoo? Do you personally consider voodoo and hoodoo part of witchcraft?
I consider it magic.
Say it again.
I consider it magic.
Okay.
Witchcraft specifically, it's just like, and we've talked about this before, I don't consider Native Americans as pagan or witches, only
Absolutely not.
only out of respect for their cultural beliefs. Do they practice, do they walk parallel to pagans? Absolutely. If it's their cultural belief. But I would never call them pagan out of respect of them. And I guess that would be the same with voodoo. Because voodoo started out as an African cultural belief. And Hindu, the same thing. I wouldn't call Hindu practitioners as witches per se either. Even though they can vaguely fit the definition to an extent. And again, do all witches have a deity? Absolutely not.
No.
But some of them... Go ahead.
Well, then you've got the Romanian side, you've got the Cuban side, you've got,
But again,
and then you've got the different Indonesian sides of all of this, and they all practice something along the same lines, but yet they're all very different.
and I wouldn't label them because I hate labels anyway, but it is a cultural belief. I think the only time I would... you look at the witch trials and the witch persecutions going on in Africa and India today, and those are human rights
Yeah.
travesties. Are they actually witches? Some of them absolutely. But does that mean you need to fucking go off and have a witch hunt? No.
Do you know what my first introduction to Wicca was?
What, your
I had a family member
uh-huh.
who claimed to be it.
I know.
And I actually found out all it was her way of hiding her party-like candles from her husband.
Oh
The fact that she bought like $10,000 worth of fucking party-like candles, she said she was Wiccan, so it was part of her religion. Friend.
You get that a lot. You do get that a lot. And, you know, you have to either... I'm trying to think how to phrase this. Understand, if you come out and say you're a witch, and you're not, you are putting yourself and your family at risk. depending on where you're at. Is there a benefit? And this goes to Paula's first question. But is there a benefit to being a witch? It's a personal benefit. It is you ask for something and you materialize it and it happens. That's a personal, and that's not even right either. So you're a Christian and you pray and you actually feel your God's presence. Does that show you that you're on the right track? It can. If you're a witch and you have a deity and your deity shows her or himself to you, does that show you're on your right track? Do you feel like you have protection because your deity, whether it's the Christian God, Allah with Islam, Ganesh with Hindu, whatever the case, and you feel their presence? And I hate to say it this way, but in certain religions, anybody else's deity is of the devil and a demon. It's not. My deity, for example, she showed herself all the time in Iraq. My deity is a goddess of war, death, rebirth, and she's also a goddess of the Fae.
I do want to correct you on one thing.
Okay.
With Christianity, praying does not make you feel the presence of God.
Not always, no.
No, it's the fact that the true nature of it, you should always feel the presence of God.
You should.
Well, what he actually said was, does praying and you get that answer, that intervention you were kind of looking for, does that make you feel the presence of God? And I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me.
Praying for me has always been, as a Christian. It's usually when of course you always pray, for the protection of your friends, your family, for a better world. But it does what it is about. Sometimes you need clarity on things. Sometimes this, but you need to have that moment where you're
the divine intervention.
Yes,
right.
and meditate.
Right.
If nothing else, it's like meditate. You're becoming. You focus your energy.
Yeah,
for that
meditate.
moment.
So what you're saying is it brings you closer to God, to His presence, but His presence has always been there.
Yes, only in
that's it within the true teachings of the original text of Scripture. That is what it's supposed to be. Praying is just a sign of respect,
right?
As it is with most religions.
Yeah, but when you get that prayer answered, you feel more close, right? So you continue to pray, and then that praying is that meditative state, which makes you feel a certain way, right? So it makes you feel closer to God. Catholics for sure say, I know.
Rosella, I'm from a farming community. We don't ever get our prayers answered.
So basically, every single religion, no matter what it is, you have this same basic concept of there being a deity or a higher power or a power that powers you or makes you one with the earth, or you have that feeling of not being alone.
No,
right? Or am I wrong? Is there other
atheists don't do that?
Okay.
It's interesting to do a whole show over just these deities because I know nothing about them. So it's kind of interesting. Being Catholic and raised Catholic, I only know, about saints and catechism.
That's not a one episode thing. That is a series because there's too many.
Yes.
Yeah. It seems I have the Doreen Virtue book, and there seems to be a ton of them, but I've never really looked
Doreen
through it. Oh,
Doreen Virtue is I've got some of her works too, and she's an interesting character.
If they don't mention the spaghetti monster, they don't count. Just saying.
Well, they pray, and all of a sudden there's spaghetti in their bowl.
Yeah. Friend.
What?
Okay, what?
Wait, do you not know about this? Have you not heard of the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster?
It exists. It really, really does.
Because it started right near you.
Yeah.
Wait, is this fake?
No, it's for real.
It was.
Yes, it is a real thing, and I know a lot about this.
Oh, God.
The Church of Blind Spaghetti Monster praises a spaghetti bean as their deity, and this originated because people wanted to not wear helmets
While they were riding
Well, they
motorcycles.
were riding
motorcycles, and it has evolved into something beautiful. And now and a part of the Church of the Spaghetti Monster is that the true shape of the Earth is actually the dinosaur, and we're living in the eye. So, yeah.
Oh my lord.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's that.
and that the toast people are actually segregating the spaghetti people from coming down and saving us from the eye.
So apparently our son is trying to start his own congregation here.
Actually, I have already started. I have 10
You're starting
believers.
the cult of the spaghetti.
Wow.
Yes,
John,
I have
you're
10
a
believers
cult
in the
leader.
school.
You have 10 believers.
Yes.
You pray to Justin Bieber, don't you?
No.
Don't lie to me. With that hair, I'd believe it.
Actually.
You are
Mother Mary and the toast.
definitely my child.
So,
Yeah. Love you.
so I'm going to say this, and I will get ridiculed from this potentially, but it's got to be said. Do I believe in satanic witches? No, I do not.
Why would you get ridiculed for that?
Huh?
Why would you get ridiculed
Yeah,
for that?
It's your own
Because
belief.
a satanic witch would say, how dare you say I'm not a witch? Well, by witchcraft,
Well, yeah, but it's
we
your
don't
belief,
believe
not
in
theirs.
a Satan.
Okay,
Yeah,
hold on a
she's right.
second.
it's belief.
Nikki, are you a satanic witch?
Or is one of your past
Rosella,
lives.
are you a satanic witch?
No.
Rick,
No,
are you a
actually,
satanic
I
witch?
hated that people used to, like, when
No,
I
but
was
the
doing things and
listeners-
got my way, they would call me a witch. And it's all based off of intention, I think.
It
The
is.
intention.
It is. And that's what defines whether you're a good or
Even in-
bad witch, if there is such a thing.
Even in
It goes by intention.
even in my Christianity, I've been called a heretic
Hmm.
because I don't believe or follow the way other Christians do.
Right.
Could there not be satanic witches, though?
I've had guys, I've had men come up to my face, we're talking 6 inches to 12 inches away from my face, getting in my face and yelling and screaming at me and calling me a heretic. I've had it all under the sun. You name it, I've had somebody say it to me.
Imagine the Christo witches. So
Because I'm a
there's
Christian, I
Christo
don't-
witches
I-
too, and so and their version makes sense, but it wouldn't make sense to a Christian, because Christians believe anything that is not of God is of the devil.
Well, I don't
all.
think that we can
No.
post anybody's belief in a bubble or a box.
No.
I think that everybody's belief is their individuality and their own
That's
belief
where I'm saying,
system.
could
of
there
it.
not be satanic witches
Yeah.
in a sense?
There can.
Like where they actually are Satanists to begin with,
and
but
they
they
practice
take
magic.
they take parts of the Wiccan traditions and incorporate
Yeah.
them.
Hey, so just
And that's
throwing this
where
out
the
here.
Christo witches come in,
Yeah.
because the Christo witches, they put God as their God, and they put Mother Mary as their goddess.
Well, and I
That's
think
where your Wiccan.
back
That's
to,
where your
like,
Wiccan part
what
comes in.
originally, she said, I think at the very beginning, like, yeah, you can't put people's beliefs into a bubble, that's for sure, but it's all based off of, what you believe, your experience, that kind of thing, too. Yeah.
Which reminds me, Cole, I'm not very happy with you right now. You ask everybody else if they were a satanic witch, but you left me and John out. I wonder why.
Because you're
Right.
full alien, he's half. You're full alien, he's half.
Hey.
You know
You're an
more.
alien.
No, I'm kidding.
So
We could totally be
He's
satanic
gotta-
Plutonian witches.
no,
Hey.
I'm pretty sure it's just a human religion.
You still got a human skin.
Yeah.
I think
took this.
everybody's always persecuted
I found
by
this one.
somebody, who thinks like religiously to
Pinterest.
try to get power. It's just like, what Rick, I think it was Rick who was saying at the beginning, or maybe Cole, but like saying the thing about the Bible, like a man wrote the Bible, and it was as the man wrote the Bible to have power, right? Most of that stuff is probably true. It's based off of something. It came from somewhere and somewhere good, but.
Yeah.
That's my belief. But that's my belief. Now, I get totally judgment, like crazy persecuted at my church if I said that. But I still go in, knowing that the freaking ceiling, and the roof is not going to collapse on me because they're stupid.
Right?
Well, and the way I see it, that's between you and your God. They have no judgmental. They shouldn't have any.
That's why I said that. I don't think
I shouldn't, but they
there's
do.
the umbrella. There's the umbrella of whatever religion you are.
Yeah.
But every single person under that umbrella has their own views on.
So when you're looking at the pagan umbrella, for example, you're looking at witches, you're looking at Wiccans, you're looking at Druids, you're looking at Celtic shamans.
Right.
You're looking,
Except when they're going to the bathroom.
right.
That's rude.
Exactly. You look at the Satru or the Norse,
Right.
the Vikings. I won't say the other one. So when you're, I will. So when you're looking
Well,
at
I think there's
Odinist,
a lot of people out there who just do bad things because they can out of attention.
so
know.
so what you're talking about too is extremists. So there's extremists in every religion. So true Islam does not condone jihad. True, it does, but understand jihad, for example, is a personal struggle. It has nothing to do with blowing up France or coming to America and flying into the Twin Towers. That is radical Islam.
What was that movie based off a book by Dan Brown with Tom Hanks?
Angels and Demons?
Not that one, the original one.
The
Da Vinci Code.
Da Vinci Code.
Okay,
Yeah.
so when that movie came out, the Catholic Church actually put in a request for that movie to be banned.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
The reason being, like a lot of people thought it's because of how it portrayed the Catholic Church.
Okay.
And it's not true. To a point.
Right.
It is the fact that they portrayed them as giving full rights to the extremists of that sect of the Catholic Church.
Right.
Like saying
Flogging himself.
The fact that Catholics believe in that all Catholics, we accept that, it created outrage within the Catholic community. Mm-hmm. Because we don't.
Well,
fuck, I would never do that to myself.
No.
Look at what the Passion of the Christ did for the Christian community. Like, all of these movies that are based off of religious preferences and different religious everything, they fuck up some sector of that religion and the religious view. Yeah. Or make people think that, oh wow, that's every single Christian ever. That's every single Muslim ever. And
Hollywood
they just
people
perpetuate
don't know how the world works.
Yeah. All they're doing is making a story.
So when you're talking about pagan extremism, you're looking at most of it. A majority of it comes from the Norse side, and you saw that January 6th with the QAnon shaman, where he was taking the Viking runes and making himself out to be Norse.
Well, and a lot of it comes from Hollywood. You do have to admit that.
Well, it does.
Like it's extremized by Hollywood itself.
Well, no, he does, but a lot of your other extreme sides are going to go look at him, what he had rune symbols on him, and so a lot of that comes from the Odinist side, because even you can even talk to true heathens that will tell you that we believe in ancestral, we don't believe in worshiping a specific god, because all the Norse gods we work with. So an Odinist is your extreme side of heathenism.
It comes down to that. If you put 10 people of the same religion sitting around a table talking about their religion, there's going to be just as many fights as if you
10
put
different views.
10 people from completely different religions around that same table.
But the point is, white supremacy, and I'm speaking as witches, white supremacy has no place in our beliefs. And I can say our beliefs, because you can talk to a majority of witches in the pagan sect that don't believe there is no master race. And that's where a lot of your extremist views come from.
Really?
I have to disagree with you.
Okay.
I think at one point Merlin and, Morgan Le Fay did have a foot race. And I would consider that a master race, because they were master of witches.
And the spaghetti guys are, like, better than us. I'm just going to say it.
The spaghetti
guys.
Spaghetti monsters. They're supreme.
Yeah.
They're the master race.
Spaghetti god is the supreme god.
Okay.
They're just being
No, they're just a bunch of meatballs.
Gib slap.
No God is better than any other God. No God is above any other God. I'm sorry, friend. This is a personal opinion. They're all the fucking same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Every God is just the same thing.
No,
friend,
any division.
we are all praying to the same fucking thing. That's why at our table, friend, if we pray, I expect everyone to pray, but you pray to your own goddamn God. Friend, you pray to whatever you believe in it. Friend, if you don't believe in anything, then sit quietly. But, friend...
So that's where the witches that don't have a deity, because not all witches do, they believe in the earth.
So pray to the earth.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Friend, like whatever you believe in, you pray to that. Mm-hmm. Friend, it doesn't matter what you do, as long as it gives you comfort.
Mm-hmm.
To a point. I mean, like, killing Jews shouldn't have given Hitler comfort, but it did for some reason.
Yeah.
You're not hurting
Good God, the Nazi has something to say about that.
Yeah, as long as you're not hurting anyone. That's...
Yeah.
Rosella, that's a good
point. And
point.
you know what? I wonder, like, what difference does it make? I mean, you can't... You have no power over everyone or anyone. So what does it make a difference if people want to be different? It's just ridiculous.
But that comes to Paul's question of, again, what are the benefits? Well, it depends on where you live.
I think that's true.
There's a lot of witches here in our own community that will not come out.
Well, and that's
because
the thing
of... I mean, so I'll bring up again, we had a Paracon in Concrete and had comments about, well, I'm going to bring my pitchfork. Well, really? Or a Paracon? I mean...
Yeah.
So,
but you guys, I'm going to say, handled that wrong.
Huh.
I would have invited a knife sharpener and said, bring them on down, we're going to fucking sharpen them for you. Friend, like, come on! Friend, you had a perfect opportunity there.
Oh, goddamn.
This boils down to what's wrong with the world and every individual human being.
And it's only getting worse.
Is that
control, yeah.
If we were just okay with everybody being whoever the fuck they are, and not trying to judge people based off of any goddamn thing besides the fact that they are who they are, and they act how they act because of it, then we would be way more fucking...
You just contradicted yourself. Because you just said, this is what's wrong with us. I don't know about you, I'm perfect. Fuck you.
Well, and that's where it boils down to. And my personal philosophy is I have no problem with anybody until they prove me otherwise.
I absolutely agree with you. That's what it boils down to. Me being perfect. I like this. I like the way direction this went. I'm very happy right now, guys.
As I say, I hate all people equally.
Hey, just
okay.
Shit.
That's right. Your mom just said she hates you.
So hopefully tonight answered your 2 questions, Paula. I know she's typing. She's been typing for about 10 minutes.
She put a thumbs up and nodded. So yes, you did great.
Okay.
I will say, Rosella, when you talked about walking into your church, you know what would help? Because it does help me. I put on 2 pairs of socks for when my feet start to get that burning sensation. Friend, it cures it almost immediately. Friend, and Eric, friend, a benefit of being a Catholic, every Sunday we get a snack.
You get fucking wine. Yeah. What are you talking about?
Okay, so
it's grapes.
Sometimes you get donuts in the undercroft.
So just gonna throw this out here. Do you know what the Catholic priest at his church, anyways, really doesn't like? When you're not Catholic and you accidentally eat that snack. Just
they hate that. Oh,
Kayla screwed up.
I kind of messed up. I don't know anything about being Catholic. Somebody handed me a wafer and I ate it.
They were really good about it. They were really good about it. It was actually one of my friends from elementary school's moms that came up and asked her, "Did you eat the wafer?" And she said, "Yeah." And she said, "Are you Catholic?" "No." "Oh, okay."
Oh god. And next week you said we're talking about All Saints Day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Day of the Dead. All
So,
Saints Day.
and that's what's curious. That's what's interesting with Halloween. So, and you may or may not disagree with me, but we celebrated Samhain for thousands of years. And it started in Ireland.
Turn up loving motherfuckers.
Huh?
Turn up loving motherfuckers.
Uh-huh. And that's where started America's Halloween, was when the Irish came to America and brought their traditions with them. Now, the Catholic Church, to try to convert, made All Souls Day for November 1st and All Saints Day November 2nd. Correct?
I just looked it up and it says All Saints Day is November 1st,
Yeah.
and I know that the church emailed out saying they're having a special thing on that
All
day.
Saints Day is November 1st, All Souls Day was November 2nd. And that was to try to...
But All Souls Day is a very loose transit.
It is. It's Day of the Dead.
Yeah, it is.
But that was to try to pull the pagans into...
Yes.
That was an attempt to convert the pagans into Catholicism.
Yeah. Now we are going to go over a few minutes here because we don't have another show before Halloween. So just a reminder, everyone, next Tuesday is Halloween. All these kids are going to be out in the streets. You drive like an idiot, I'll fucking find you.
Yep.
Yep. You don't want the extra point bonus.
Well, and actually, on a good note, I am having that from the Shoutouts podcast. I'm the featured guest on that, talking about all my haunted experiences that are actually, there's a mix of good and some scary. But it'll be really fun, and it comes out on that day as well.
Rock on.
I'm going to be a giant
I may
taco
go live.
serving tacos.
You eating tacos?
I'm sorry, what was that, Nikki?
I said I may go live that night. We'll see how I'm feeling. Hopefully I can talk better.
Nice. No, I'm going to dress up as a giant taco and serve tacos at the store on Taco Tuesday.
I'm going to be a turnip.
I'm going to be a wizard handing children candy.
Actually, I'm going to be myself a witch.
I don't know.
That's fucking creepy, dude.
Yeah,
you're just going to be walking around town handing out candy to kids?
Hey, it's Halloween.
Yeah, but they're supposed to come to your door.
It's easier to go look for them.
Whoa.
I got personal experience. Okay?
But also, like any parents, remember, check your kids' candy. I know it's a warning that we've all had for years, and
it's just a
you
safety
hope
thing.
it's never going to happen, but it still does.
Well, they have the fentanyl scare last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, so watch for anything that's not marked in the right ways.
Just make sure it's all wrapped and
Yeah.
look for any puncture marks in
Yeah.
the packaging. That's all you got to do.
Friend.
And never accept the apple.
And
No.
Yeah.
remember, it is a school night. Restrict your kids for how much candy for your teacher's sake. For the next morning.
But not for teenagers.
Be polite. Come on. Don't feed them half the bag and then send them off to school the next day.
And don't hurt any black cats, for the love of God.
Yeah.
That drives me insane. I don't
Friend.
know why people think that's cool.
Although, Rick, that's fucking racist, but okay. So, yeah, according to Rick, only hurt the orange ones on fucking Halloween.
Yeah.
Friend,
You see that, Tabby? Nobody cares about that, Tabby.
Only hurt the ginger cats. They have no soul.
That's why Garfield was such a dick.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for us tonight. Thank you so much for listening. We will be back next Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with our Day of the Dead show. So, thank you very much for listening. Say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Dr. Phil.
Data transfer complete. System malfunction. Please evacuate immediately. Program terminated.
Son of a biscuit eater.